Hi, I'm Lisa Wisner, the host of PowerUp Hero. PowerUp Hero is a podcast all about living a powered up life. Because let's face it, living your best life and juggling a busy workload, that can be close to impossible. I found hundreds and hundreds of PowerUp life hacks and systems that will help you automate your life and be time smart. So instead of spending your time, you're using it to actualize your potential. And I'm so excited for you to join me on my podcast, PowerUp Hero, so you can power up your life to live to your fullest potential.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are joining from, wherever you are around the world. Welcome to the Power Up Hero Show, a show all about you being the hero of your story, a show that makes sure that you know that living a powered up life is not a simple feat. So right now, the fact that you're here with us in this space, give yourself a high five. It looks like this, sounds like this. And I want you to know that juggling a busy workload can be close to impossible. Sometimes we can actually feel like we're pulling superpowers from who knows where. And so I couldn't even be more excited to actually introduce my co-host, Megan Isasi. How's it going, Megan?
How's it going, Lisa? Are you staying cool over there at your house?
Oh my gosh, Megan, I'm so excited because, first of all, I want to thank you for being on the show. You have always been a hero in my life, so I just thank you so much. And I feel like we're closer and we're getting closer and closer together, like in all aspects of our lives. So it's just so many amazing things coming out. So we're just kind of sprinkling some unknowns for you. Later, we'll maybe be able to reveal all of that. But welcome to the show, Megan. Welcome.
I'm so glad to be here, and especially on this very special day.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that I'm sharing this space with some amazing people, including yourself, Lisa. Yeah. And I cannot wait to meet who our guest is going to be today. I try to stay off social media in the days coming, so I don't know who it is. Yeah. But every single time there we go. Our superstar. I know exactly who that is.
Yes. And so, did you meet Aislynn when you were coaching TEDx speakers? Or
I remember Aislynn from when she was running for mayor, and I was at the city.
Yes.
I remember Aislynn from, what was it that Freelance Week?
Yes. Oh my gosh, you have a good memory.
Yes. And I also remember her, there's another event that I remember her, seeing her and hearing her at. So I already have a ton of questions that are flooding into my brain right now, so I can't wait to get started.
Oh, I can't wait either. But I also want to recognize that today is Juneteenth, Megan.
I know, I am so excited. Can you believe, Lisa, that I only learned about Juneteenth 2 years ago?
Oh, it's okay. Yeah.
It's so crazy though. Like, why didn't anybody teach us about this in school? Nobody said anything about Juneteenth or Jubilee or anything. And so I'm so excited that I know about it now. I do wish I had learned and been educated about it sooner. But I think today where I'm at, I'm just like, man, in gratitude, because we are all free. And just that alone, it brings so much gratitude to my heart. I can't even imagine a world where where anybody is not free. So I'm so grateful and just spending this day in gratitude, saying thank you, because freedom is so important and it's a beautiful thing. And I can't wait to see where we evolve to next.
Yes. So well said. You're so good, Megan. I really appreciate what you said. And you know, I think what speaks loudly for me is when you said we are all free, right? So, and I think the point here is that even though it was written in the Emancipation Proclamation that slaves are free, just the fact that it's written doesn't mean that it's the reality of some people, right? So it almost took more than 2 years before Texas slaves realized that they were free 2 years ago. So I just, you can't even imagine what that might have felt or looked like. So I think for me, it's just this sense of excitement that it's being recognized. And can I say something? Here in Corpus Christi, from the moment I moved to this community, we've been celebrating Juneteenth. So it's always just a really awesome time to get together with people. So I'm super excited that we're going to be having Juneteenth. And actually, are you going to be going to the event at Cole Park? I don't know if you're planning on it.
I'm hoping to make a stop by. And just stop really quickly to check it out, because that will be my first one. I think in the past I've celebrated Juneteenth at the YWCA, possibly.
Yes. So we usually here in Corpus, we do 10 days of Juneteenth, because it took 10 days for Major Granger, right? Major General Granger to to travel from Louisiana to Texas. So we're intentional. We celebrate those 10 days. So from June 9th, when he started his travels, to when he arrived in Galveston, Texas, to make the announcement that you're free, people. Nobody told you, but I'm here to tell you that you're free. So I love it. I love that we do that. But yes, the YWCA, actually yesterday was the YWCA event as well. So today is the last event. Today's the culmination of all of it. It's like the pilgrimage. So we're excited.
Yeah, I was actually listening to a talk around 9 o'clock this morning, right before Jedi. And there was this one lady that put it into such great perspective. And I think it really goes really well with this whole hero show that we do. And she had mentioned that although, we talk about Juneteenth and freedom and this official day of freedom for so many people, there were so many people already freeing themselves before this day. And I think that is super important to acknowledge and to realize that sometimes as a hero of yourself, you have to find ways to make yourself free, and whatever that takes, whatever that looks like, whether it's free mentally, free from unhealthy relationships, free in your heart. I think that's super important to acknowledge and to realize that although we have an official day to celebrate, you have the power to free yourself from whatever it is that's holding you down.
Yes. And let me tell you, I'm so glad you brought in the show, because our guest today is all about that, Megan. It's all about freedom to be the best version of yourself. And so today, everybody watching, we are elevating the spotlight on an outstanding individual in our community. Our world needs more heroes today more than ever before. And if I would be remiss if I didn't mention a thank you to Vice President Kamala Harris and to President Joe Biden for making Juneteenth a national holiday. So now not only are we celebrating it as an African-American holiday, it's a national holiday for everyone to recognize. And so I want to let you know that if you know any celebrated leaders in our community, then consider them heroes, because they're doing the heavy lift in making sure that you know what it looks like to be an agent of change. So our guest today is Aislynn Campbell. And Aislynn Campbell has been growing food on family land and community gardens and in her own backyard for over 3 decades. She's been honing her hands-on experience with learning about developing edible, 100% organic gardens here in South Texas. Now, I know Aislynn from the university, from Texas A&M University, but also from an organization called Grow Local. And she's actually the founder of farmers markets here in Corpus Christi. So I'm super excited to introduce you to Aislynn. Before I do that, I want to let you know that Aislynn is a communications professional with a background in agriculture, nonprofit management, pediatric, and senior health. And Aislynn recognized South Texas's need for access to affordable, locally grown food and created the Corpus Christi Downtown Farmers Market. And so without any further ado, welcome our PowerUp hero of gardening, Aislynn Campbell. Welcome, Aislynn.
Hello. I am so glad to be here. Thank you so much. And I am so excited that I got to be here where the entry is talking about freedom, because I assure you there is not one single thing on this planet that means more to me than freedom. I do everything. Everything I do is about freedom. Everything.
Oh my God, that is amazing. And it's very clear, because I think you live your life almost with this air of freedom. It feels like what you're doing is you go into spaces and try to free them up in terms of whether it's distress or whether opening people's eyes to the simplicity of what life is, right? And I think I see you sometimes and I aspire to be in your zone. It feels like you have this energy around you that creates freedom. And that's what a hero is, you just living your life, your reflection of what we aspire to be. So thank you so much for being who you are, Aislynn.
Yeah, that's great. I love being me.
Yes, we love it.
Thank you for having me. I'm so glad to be here with both of you guys and to talk to you about all the cool things that are going on in our world right now. So
yeah. There's a lot. And I know you could be anywhere right now. So we want to thank you also for the time you're spending with us. So
I just came out of the garden, literally. I'm like a sweat mess. And I was like rushing, and it's so hot. And Megan, you brought that at the beginning. Like, it is blazing. It went from the 70s to the 90s in like a week with no rain all of a sudden. It's hot. So I've been managing that heat for real. Yeah.
And I love the heat. So I'm good.
I'm a bit on fire too. I get it.
Out of my car. I love to cook. I don't know what it is. I guess everyone has different energy. So some people are cooler energy. I love the hot energy. So I love it. So Aislynn, as we get the show started, tell us a little bit about what do you do? How do you serve the world?
Well, I found, I don't know, solid 30 years ago. And then after just like getting to know, spending a lot of time with family, I'm very loyal to my family. I also come from kind of a rural upbringing. And it just became really important to me to spend a lot of time outside. And my kids were little. I had kids pretty young. My oldest is actually 21 and my youngest is 16. And so I was a young mom and I had to find places to get outside and get some fresh air and some sunshine and things like that. And I remembered that my grandmother's always gardened and I had some upbringing in that. So it kind of just started happening. And then once I started gardening, pretty much everything in my life started to shift. And so I've spent 30 solid years gardening. I spent 20 solid years teaching gardening, learning how to gardening. And then in the last 10 years, creating a true network of local gardeners, local small farmers, and just being a part of, for me, beginning to understand how the garden actually benefits my life on every aspect of it, to the point there was not a single thing in my life that is not affected by the garden. And, you know, what happened with the shift in the world after the pandemic and all of that was that I went to my priorities. I just decided that I needed to step back and pay attention to the things that meant the most to me. And as I said at the beginning of this, that the priority of freedom is really, really, really up there. But I don't believe you have access to freedom if you don't have all of these other types of things. If you don't have confidence, if you don't have self-care, if you don't have good health, like a whole mind, body, spirit wellness. If you don't have money, let's talk about all of the things that make life really able to be free. And I will just tell you that I have found not only relief, but inspiration, answers to questions, answers from source, like whatever. I found all of those things in the garden. So it's been the place for me to just really learn to power up my own superhero. Like I learned about my superhero in the garden. Yeah.
Oh, I love how you said that. And it almost sounds like the word holistic, right? So it's like you don't just see one aspect of yourself as free. How are all the parts of you free, right? Physical, mental, emotional. And then that really is the truth of freedom, right?
Absolutely. Because like Megan said, at the beginning of it all, you have to find the freedom in yourself. And once you find the freedom in yourself, then the freedom, love, and light just starts to like grow from you. And then everyone around you that is in your space can't help but start to look to find things to access their own freedom from their heart and their love and their light. And the thing about it is that if they're not, for whatever reason, in a space to feel like it's time for them to be free or to set themselves free, then they'll move out of that space anyways. And that's a choice. And I'm not saying that's a bad choice in terms of when I talk about freedom, because I think that we lock ourselves in, we lock ourselves down, you know? Mm-hmm. And I think that the 2020 thing like shifted me so much, because I'm like, I have access to anything and everything I want if within myself, but I can walk right outside and get fresh air and sunshine and all of the things that I need to do for myself. And so my biggest thing that shifted me was that I felt like I had to go out into the world and inspire people to live their best quality of life. Like, and for me, the way that I do that is by teaching you how I do it from the garden. But you may have a completely different garden in your life. You may have a completely different creative space in your life. But for me, I can teach you how to enjoy life, enjoy your lifestyle, set yourself free from the place that I do it best for me in my life. And that's there in the garden. Yeah.
I really love how you talk about people having their own creative space that's unique to them. I think that's so important. But what I love about you so much is that your creative space is not my creative space, but I want to be in your creative space kind of thing. And I always see your pictures on Facebook about what you're eating that day or what you're serving or what you picked from your garden. And I think to myself, I wonder, like, where did this come from? Did she have like a really great upbringing where her parents actually taught her about nutrition and vegetables? Because all I learned about was refried beans and enchiladas.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that, Megan.
No,
Yeah.
but I do wish that I had a little bit of a healthier relationship with food and saw the value in being a little more natural and holistic. And so I want to ask you, Aislynn, tell me about the aha moment. Like, have you always been this way? Were you brought up this way, or did it just kind of happen one day where you're like, this is what I want to do, this is how I want to connect, this is my creative space? Which one came first?
I've had 8 billion aha moments in my lifetime. I promise you that. Some very notable ones, but I did get brought up in a very rural upbringing. I grew up in 4-H all my life. So we raised animals. I understood what livestock was. I understood meat. I understood where things came from, just in that basics of things. My mom always, the big volunteer teaching thing that my mom did for, because all moms have that one thing that they do with the kids, right? And my mom did food and nutrition teaching with 4-H. But the thing about it is that even though she did those types of things, we were raised in a dual income, what do you call the Happy Meal era? We lived on that. I was a freaking latchkey kid, no doubt about it. So all of those things were going on, but at the same time, I also was raised in a rural upbringing. I also had a grandmother that gardened that I would go spend a week with every summer and pick beans from the garden and snap peas and all of those types of things. I had another grandmother that was amazing at floral arranging. And so she made floral arrangements and grew flowers in her backyard. And she was always showing us. So we had a strong connection with nature. My family hunted, my family fished. We were pretty typical rural Texas, deep Texas rural kind of in that way. But we lived the same kind of latchkey upbringing from the 90s. That's just what it was for us. My mom worked all the time, and those were the things that she did for us as that stuff came about. Aha moment for me, I have my background and a lot of my challenges and sensitivities come from the fact that I started having experiences with health, like almost like a sickly child as a very, very young, like asthma, and just like everything you could name. I was one of those kids, like I had it all. Every pill, all the things, all the shots, all the, allergies, every problem, I had it. And then when I was 13, I ran over my leg with a riding lawnmower. And so then I had a massive healthcare experience, spent my whole 14 and 15-year-old life in the hospital, in and out of the hospital. And so I had a lot of experience with the healthcare system. That's, so at 19, when I started because I was treating my body poorly, drinking alcohol all the time, eating junk food, because even though I had been brought up in a rural house, I still ate garbage. I ate garbage all of the time. And I started having at 19 ulcers. Okay. And back in those days, it was when they were just beginning to understand that ulcers were actually just some sort of an upset of the gut bacteria, like bacteria in your stomach was setting off something that then, yes, of course, if you eat a lot of hot, spicy foods or things that your body doesn't like necessarily, it could be spicy, it could be inflaming it. But the actual source of the problem comes from bacteria in your stomach that has a problem. Right. And so I went to the doctor and they were going to do, the tubes down your throat, and they were just going to do all kinds of and medical things to me. And then they were suggesting that I take Prilosec. I don't know that I'm supposed to say name brands, but I was taking, you're going to take this for the rest of your life, basically. And that there were no real answers as far as that's concerned. And I'd already had enough experiences with the healthcare system. I'd already had enough experiences with medicine all of my life. I was just like, nope, there's got to be another answer. And so I think that that's a big, big aha thing in that how many 19-year-olds do you know that start saying, no, there's got to be another answer. There's got to be another answer. Mm-hmm. And I'm just weirdly brave, but also fearful. And my fear comes from spaces that I don't believe that a lot of other people have really been in, how many people have been through as much pain, trauma, drama, healthcare, medicine, all the things that I had been into only up to the age of 19. This was before I had a child at the age of 20, right? So like, I've just been through a lot of things. And because I've been through a lot of things, I now have the ability to go, okay, well, I've got to be able to like learn some things on my own, figure some things out, because for me, those places created more anxiety, and what I would call my biggest challenge, my biggest like anti thing is that I'm very, very, very sensitive. If they label it, they call it sensory anxiety. I do not label it because I actually believe it's my superpower. And I think I'm a magical person that God gave the power to like feel things. And my personality, sometimes people will talk about a thing called human design. And my personality is I'm a researcher and an investigator, which means that I'm the person that if there's a bonfire on the beach with 800 signs that say don't touch, I'm going to be the first one jumping over the bonfire screaming, woohoo, and touching the flame as I go by. And then when I get to the other side of it, I'm going to be like, hey, everybody, you should probably watch those signs because I burned the crap out of my hands. And that's really some hard stuff. Yeah. So I can go back then and it gives a level of trust. Because people are like, she's been through a lot of stuff. So I'm going to listen to her. She says, try this. This might help. Do this. This might help. Yeah.
Is that where the lifestyle coach, I think I see you tagged by people as a gardening lifestyle coach, gardening as a lifestyle.
Yes, exactly. And I don't know that there's anyone out there that is calling themselves a garden lifestyle coach or a gardening lifestyle coach. And what does that exactly mean? You know, and it's very confusing. I'm definitely leading the way on something completely different here. And I know that there's people out there in the world that are doing what I would call like garden therapy, you know, things like that. There's certifications and there's, you know, mental health education and all kinds of things like that you could get to help somebody out with like, you know, garden therapy or whatever. And so I don't call it that because that's not what I am. That's not what I do. I just live a lifestyle where gardening has given me the highest quality of life, has given me so much opportunity to tap on essentially everything that I believe God put me here on the planet for, which is creativity, inspiration, wellness, health, life and death. I mean, just spirituality, managing anxiety, teaching people how to love themselves, eating delicious food, taking the sustenance that we require to survive and elevating it to an art form. Just everything about what I do and love from the garden has led me down the path to be able to understand things at a level that like we're making life too hard on ourselves. We're making life way too hard on ourselves. And the garden has been the place where it's made it just easy for me to be able to, you know, share that with people. Like I have this magic and I coach health and wellness, but I do it from the garden, you know?
I love that. It sounds like magic. And actually, I have a video of you talking about the It's Just Aislynn way. So let's go ahead and play that video. We'll be right back.
Hello, everyone. My name is Aislynn Campbell. And after decades of working in the health and wellness industry as a marketing communications professional, the executive director and founder of a local nonprofit, and working on my family's land growing food and in community gardens, I want to connect with you and teach you the It's Just Aislynn way. Because I believe that health and wellness is about more than the medicine you take. It's about more than the food you eat, and it's about more than the exercise you need. It's a lifestyle, and I want to connect with you and show you the It's Just Aislynn way. If you would please, dig into this website, get your hands real dirty, look at all the beautiful pictures.
And so the website you're referring to, so I literally just grabbed that from your website, which by the way is beautiful. I love your website. It is so rich and like it just makes me want to stay there. It feels like a garden on your website. And for those of you who are watching and you're not going to stay on for the whole show, if you want to find out more about Aislynn, you can go to AislynnCampbell.com. That's with 2 N's, AislynnCampbell.com. And if you just type Aislynn Corpus Christi, you'll find her. She's all over the internet doing amazing things. And so looking at this picture right here, you know, it sparks so much joy for me because I feel like it's really a true representation of freedom. I'm in my garden, right?
Yes, and I'm sending you love and light and peace because I believe in it. I have faith in it, and and brightness is about. That's what I'm about. You know, I love it. I love the colors. It's easy to elevate and be art when you have beautiful colors and brightness and light and love and liveliness around you. And it's a good place to be, and it's a good thing to share with lots of people. And I think that that's what it is that is appealing about me, is that, you know, Megan, you said, like, I don't have any experience with gardening. I don't know anything about that, but I want to be in your space, you know? And so part of what I'm trying to do, gardening is where it's at for me. But what I'm doing right now is looking at the marketplace and going, okay, well, what is it that I can do to basically create a sustainable existence of living my best life? So if I look at the entire marketplace and I go back to thinking about Megan, okay, Megan, what is it about your life that you like about being in my space? Is it not that you want to dig in the dirt? Is it just that you just want to go on a tour and see a beautiful garden and walk around a farm and look at things and just have an experience, or come to a nice dinner where the chef shows you all the great, you know, whatever. So there's elements of everything that I do where I'm really, you know, just trying to say, okay, here's a great example. Do you see, I have to point like that. Do you see my flowers that are right there? Like, this is, I can't do this. You can see the flowers though, right? Yeah.
Yes.
That beauty right there could be what makes you the happiest. So if you grow one small little patch of zinnia flowers, which grow a lot of the year around here, or sunflowers, and then you bring them inside your home and they give you a pop of life and color and art and beauty, and they make you want to get up and go clean your bathroom because you want to put them in your bathroom, and they get you up off the couch. And I don't say that in a condescending, oh, you couch potato. I mean that in one of the ways that I've always talked about when it relates to my anxiety, depression, and PTSD and all the kinds of stuff that I deal with, is I get deep in the couch sometimes when I'm super depressed. I can't figure out how to get out of there. And sometimes I just need life. And if you think about the 2020 year and the 2021 year that we've gone through, and how do we share with people the simple ways to get into the space of someone that inspires brightness and dynamics. And maybe you live in New York City in the middle of an apartment complex, not in South Texas on an acre of land. So how do I bring light, love, and brightness into my space? And part of that may be connecting with someone like this, watching them on some great YouTube channel where they go around outside and they cut their pretty flowers, and then they fluff up their kitchen space, and they take a great Instagram photo of it and leave some pretty flowers behind, and it inspires you to want to go and do that same kind of thing. And it's not the exact same thing. It's not sweating in the dirt with the bugs and all the things that might not be your jam. But I will also say that I'm amazingly surprised all of the time how many women, especially women, are like, oh, I don't want to get dirty, I don't like bugs. And then one hot second in the garden and with me, and they're like, oh my God, I want to do more. How do I do more? And then they do a little more, and then they're like, I am addicted to flowers. I'm addicted to plants. I'm addicted to growing. And so that's my thing. If I can just draw you in a little bit by a little bit of love and beauty and light and brightness and magic, then you want to stick around. Yeah.
I love it. I feel like we've just unpacked your work, right? So I think if we're looking for support, right, in terms of bringing light to our lives, then we've literally heard what it is, right? So you've painted a really great picture of living the best version of yourself the Aislynn way. I like how you said that. Now, this show is about being a power-up hero. So we want to ask you, what does a hero mean to you? When you hear the word being a hero, what does that mean?
People, I have a thing that I believe that self-care is the most heroic thing that you can do on the entire planet. I think that if you fill your cup and you are to the top brimming with light, love, happiness, health, vibrancy, if you filled your cup to the top and you are overflowing, and by the way, overflowing is a thing, like it's a thing, it's part of my like brand. I am overflowing with abundance. There is plenty. If I'm overflowing, then there's plenty to share. There's plenty to go around for other people. And I'm not like, okay, we're in this space and time right now where we're trying to get a better understanding of what compassionate action means. What does compassion mean? What can I actually do to support you? But then on the same token, we haven't exactly learned how to take care of our own selves, to set our boundaries, to light the fire inside of ourselves and stay off the couch, stay up and moving and doing the things that we're trying to do around, so we can then share that stuff with the other people around us, and it's not sucking us dry. You know, I mean, as much as I love the work that I did in the last decade of my life, this next decade of my life is about self-care. And I because I've seen what it was like to be in a place where I had the ability to be compassionate, to give. I gave so much away, I was making myself sick. And I think that we are in a space in time where you have all of these people that they see, because everything's being revealed right now. They see all the problems. They see all the bad guys. They see all the challenges. They see all the system breakdowns. They see every bit of problem. And then they're out there going, how do I solve this problem? How do I do? And before too long, nobody wants to do anything. They're deeper in the couch. They're watching more Netflix. They're eating more chips. They're doing that because they haven't figured out how to manage and create the boundaries and have begun to understand that their wellness and the energy that they create in their own space actually can amplify if they take care of themselves first. So the old saying, you've heard it a billion times, if you've got your children on a plane with you, put your mask on first, and then you can put their mask on. This is the reality that we live in right now. There are I was social justice warrior before social justice warriors were cool, okay? I'm telling you right now that you have got to pick your battles and you have to pick your priorities, and then you have to move forward with this like compassionate action. But you can't do any of that if your bank account is zero, and if you don't have any energy inside of your personal bank account, and because the list could go on. You're too sick to do the things you need to do to take care of yourself. The list could go on and on and on. And I'm clearly very passionate about this because I've lived a life of just allowing myself to be sucked dry, because I believe the right thing for me to do was to take care of other people. And I'm a heart-centered, heart-giving type of person. And I'm giving my heart away before I've even filled my heart up. And I think we've been preconditioned to believe that you have to, that just keep giving away, because if you just keep giving away, someday it'll come back to you. But the thing about it is that if you amplify the energy and grow the energy inside of you, there's no way that you can't affect in a positive manner everyone around you. You will. I promise you, I'm living the life of what I would consider a superhero, and I am the most important thing that exists to me on the planet. And I have kids. I mean, all of it. I matter. My self-worth is the most important thing.
Yes. So, and that the only way you can be super mom is by being super Aislynn to give to your kids in the overflow. I love it. Yeah, Megan, she's our people. I feel like you gave the definition of what we call a hero, which is you are the most important thing as an individual. How are you managing your life? Are you living your best life? Not capitalize the your, like keyword your, not somebody else's, not your jobs, not your spouse's, yours, right? And so,
yep.
I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah. So Aislynn, I've actually heard you talk a lot about your superpowers. It sounds like you have a ton of superpowers, and I want to hear more about them. So as a Power Up hero, what would you consider your primary superpower? And I'm not even going to limit you to that primary, because I already know you have stated many of them and I've caught a few of them, but I'd like to hear more about what you consider your superpowers to be.
Okay, well, I believe my superpower is inspiring people. I think everywhere I've gone, all throughout my life, there's just something about me that when I walk into the room, I set things on fire. Now, I will tell you, there's good days and bad days. So some of the past, the trauma, the things that I've gone to that have created another superpower of mine, which is my sensory power, my sensitivities, my feeler power, is that people like me that set the room on fire sometimes burn the whole house down. So I've had to learn how, and I keep going back to 2020, and I think because it was just such an amazing shift in time for me and the whole world for that matter. But I learned just this year that my superpower, I love Kanye West, by the way. I'm a fan. I know not everybody is, but I'm a fan of Kanye West. And my favorite album is Ye. I love it. And he talks about his superpower, and he has a whole song where he talks about his superpower. It's bipolar, because I've been called bipolar most of my life. And I am like, this is my freaking superpower. I have sensory overload. Let's quit calling it anxiety. Let's call it overflow. Let's call it like, I can walk into a room and decide exactly whether I want to be there, don't want to be there. I can walk into a room and decide whether I want to change the whole entire spirit of the room. I'm not kidding you. When you talk about superpower, I feel like it is a superpower. I do things people can't do. I'm not saying they can't. Wait, that's not right. They can do it if they choose to, but most people won't tap into that. And I know, man, when I walk into a room, I know if it's good or bad. I turn around and walk out. I don't put myself in a space where harm is going to come to me, because I know what harm feels like. I know what it feels like. So all of that PTSD, that post-traumatic stress disorder stuff I've been through and created in my life or whatever, has put me in a place where I'm like, I know what that feels like. That's not good. My intuition has told me before, get out now, go now. And I learned to listen to it, and I learned to pay attention to, like, one of the things that I think is so essential for health. And this is a thing that aha moment for sure that I learned as a very young age. I need to understand what my body feels like. And if I don't pay attention to the physical harm that's happening in my body, then I'm not paying attention to like a holistic, the whole picture of mind, body, spirit, things that are going wrong. Something's going wrong in my life, and I have got to make a shift to that. And so this last year, okay, so in 2019, I was diagnosed with hyperthyroidism, and I was having some major issues, really knocking me back. And it finally put the icing on the cake for me of something I have known about my physical person, my sensory stuff, my superpower all of my life, is that when I wanted something to change that I didn't like in my life, I make myself physically ill. I manifest illness and disease. Okay. And I have a whole track record of it. I have preterm birth. I have, a lifetime of illness, disease, all related to the fact that I didn't like something going on and I needed to change it. And at the end of 2019, I had learned that I had to leave gracefully a nonprofit that I literally had birthed and lived the life of for the last decade of my life. And I wanted it to live when I left it. But it was scary as heck. I didn't know how to say no. I didn't know how to say I can't anymore. I didn't know how to, my partner who was with me through the whole experience Tell him, I'm leaving. I'm leaving you. You're going to be you're still on the board. I'm leaving. I'm out. And I don't have another job. I don't have another option. I know that I'm sick and I know I have to go take care of myself. And so when I went and shifted that life and then shifted through a few other little bumpy roads or whatever, came out on the other end of that, completely healed, no medicine at all for an autoimmune disorder that once you take it, they tell you you're going to be taking that medicine for the rest of your life. I literally went through a 6-month period of my body telling me I was not in a good place and I needed to move. And when I talk about sensory and when I talk about feeling and when I talk about healthcare and all of those things, is that's my God source power. When I feel it, I recognize it, I pay attention to it. And this last year, 2019, that was a solid aha moment. When I feel pain now, I stop everything and start paying attention to everything that's going on in my life, because something has to change. Something has to change. And I can either do it now when it's like a tap, or I can do it later when I've got Bell's palsy and my whole face is falling down. Right? I'm not to be a jerk or make fun of people, but because I touched my face, and that was like, I wanted it to be a physical story for you to understand. Yes. First, you feel the tiny tap, and then your body kicks into a full-blown disease. And at that point, you can either just go say, I have no responsibility for this at all. I'm just going to go get the things that they can give me to solve the problem. Or I can look at the whole picture and include that as help while I get through it, while I figure out how to, because I went to the medicine. Don't hear me wrong. When I got diagnosed with hyperthyroidism, I went to the doctor. I got the diagnosis. I got the medicine, all of those types of things, but I did not stop looking at every single thing else that was going on around me. But I knew that it had gotten that bad because I had ignored for a solid year or maybe 2 the idea that it was time for me to start shifting to a different stage of life. It was time for something to change in mine. And that is a superhero power. That is an important thing. And we all have our own. Some people might be able to see things I can't see, or hear things I can't hear, or smell things I can't smell, or whatever. I mean, there's a billion things that people can do that I don't necessarily do the way that they do, or at the level that they do it at. Yes. But my superpower is sensory. It's sensory stuff. That's what it is.
I love it. And it sounds like you like paying attention to trusting what your body is telling you, right? So whether it's a physical sensation or something visual that you saw, whatever it is, trust the energy in the space you're in, right?
Well, but that's a spectrum too. And I want to be fair to say that, like, this is like the thing that I used to talk to people about diets. It's like, don't try to jump where I am in your diet changes, in your lifestyle diet changes. Like, just stop drinking soda waters, right? That was my like simple answer to that. But it's the same thing with like beginning to trust and have faith in your self-care and your ability to take care of your health and wellness, and knowing that you know your body better than anyone else does. It takes time. Yeah. I started learning things about my body. I started taking radical responsibility for my own healthcare at 19. But even before that, I'd already had a billion experiences. So I literally have 42 years of developing this superpower. Yes. And so all I'm doing now is not saying, oh, run out, stop taking all your medicines or whatever. What I'm saying is get to know somebody that has some experience with it and start learning where you can begin to let go some of the pain that you've held on to that is creating disease in your body.
Mm-hmm. So I know we're kind of running short on time, and I do have a couple of things I want to point out here. So the first thing I want to point out here, Megan, is you pointed out that Aislynn did run for mayor. Remember?
Yes.
So I want to point out this photo, which is Aislynn and her baby.
That's my baby.
That's when you were campaigning, right?
Yeah, it was in 2018. So I think that might have been on election day, actually, or on voting day.
On voting day. And I have a little video, so let's watch.
And Corpus Christi residents will also be voting for a mayor and city council members. One candidate just announced today. Aislynn Campbell says it's time for some 21st century leadership in Corpus Christi. The executive director of Grow Local filed her paperwork at the city secretary's office earlier today. She says she's excited to run for mayor and sees this as a turning point in the history of Corpus Christi.
Focusing on the concerns that we have today that have been created by the decades of neglect that are now catching up with us. and focusing on the future for our children and our grandchildren, and the folks that we want to help us maintain and sustain this community.
Yay, Aislynn! Oh my gosh! I remember when you were running for mayor, I was like, that's my mayor. Like everywhere I went, every event I was at, I was like, have you met my mayor? So how was that experience?
It was life-changing, no doubt about it. Life-changing, challenging. It taught me a lot about politics. Like I have zero faith in politics or politicians anymore because I saw the backstage. Yeah. And that's the thing about me. And that's the way I am. I mean, like, that's the thing I always say about it's really hard to sell me things because I am in the marketing and advertising public relations world. And I know exactly what you're selling me. I know exactly what you're using to sell it to me, you know? So like, I've always been a little bit, that's really what it was. It was very revealing for me. It was very revealing for me. Now, it doesn't mean that I don't believe that I have the ability within local situations to change policy. But for me, it basically just, what I did, I achieved exactly what I intended to achieve. Now, don't mishear me. I like to win. So I went into that with the intentions to win, but I also knew the likelihood of that happening were very, very small. But I went into that with the idea that I said, someone has got to go up there and say some things that haven't been said in a long time and light some freaking fires in this city, man. Because I think that, like, you know what? I'm going to pat myself on the back for decades of lighting fires and putting some freaking flags in the sand of the city that is now this, we are skyrocketing. And I don't, I mean, for me, that's it. No matter where you are, no matter what community you're living in, you have the ability to light fires. And I think that that's what I did with that. And I think that I said some things that needed to be said. And I spoke to some people that had never been spoken to. And I spoke in a way that people had never been, you know,
You did. And you showed up so authentically. It didn't feel manufactured, like some company came and hired you to run for mayor. Like, it didn't feel like that. It felt very much like a local movement, right? So it kind of flows in with, you know, your initiative you started, which is you started the Corpus Christi Downtown Farmers Market, and then eventually the organization that you just left, which is Grow Local South Texas, which, by the way, can I put up this photo? You won a business plan competition, and it's so hilarious, Megan. I don't know if you remember this day.
I do.
Yeah, so who was competing with her?
You were.
I know. I was right there with her, so we were finding.
I had an aha moment that day, by the way. If I could beat Lisa in a speaking contest, I was on to something.
Oh my gosh. So anyway, so Aislynn beat me in the business plan competition. Don't know about speaking, I'm kidding. But so it was really because, you know, your organization was amazing. And I think so just like you learned something, I learned something, which was during the presentation you gave, because I think, did I go first? I think I went first, and then the other lady went, and then you went, right? Yeah. I just remember going first, so it was over. And then sitting back, and then the other lady went, and I was like, okay. And then you went, and it was your presentation was like so simple. I don't know whether I should say it's simple. It was so simple, but it wasn't easy. But you understand how I think it just made sense. Like, grow
and I gave a terrible speech.
Terrible. No. And I know that's how you felt, but in the audience, I felt the authenticity of it. And I think right after that is when we heard about you deciding now you ran for mayor. So I think for me, that was just the beginning of a revolution of understanding that sometimes in life, being an agent of change is just going into uncomfortable, you know, spaces, right? Because even, I don't know what about you, but when I entered that business plan competition, I was not planning to be a finalist. Like, I literally entered because all right, I'll just enter. And it was like 2 days before the deadline. And I just thought to myself, like, I have an idea, but it's not a business right now, right? And I mean, eventually we ended up starting Axum Foundry, which was birthed from that business plan competition. But I think, like, anytime that you're talking, I hear you say light a fire, you know, step into your uncomfortable spaces, right? So have courage. So I just think, like, that's why you're a hero for us, because you keep doing that over and over and over. And another big way that you're a hero for us is you've given a TED Talk, and actually not even just one TED Talk. You've been invited to give 2 TED Talks. So you have 2 TED Talks under your belt. And I know that we're kind of running short on time. So I do want to just play just a little bit of the first talk that you gave, which, I mean, it feels like a lifetime ago, in 2012, Aislynn.
Yeah, a lifetime ago.
Talk. Yeah. And this was the beginning of what you called the food revolution. So let's just watch a little bit of it.
Hi, wow, this is pretty exciting. All right, I just want to give you a little bit of background about myself. My family and I, about 2 years ago, started Freedom Harvest Farms, where we grow some of our own vegetables and share that with a community-supported agriculture type program. We also started the Corpus Christi Downtown Farmers Market in March, and that's been going really well. And about a year ago, I started a social networking campaign to help our community know more about the healthy lifestyle choices that they have available to them. Now today what I really wanted to talk to you about is this idea of a revolution that's happening right here in our community. And the basic concept of a revolution is simply that it's one person or a small group of people's great idea that that the society begins to take on and adopt. And my kind of way of looking at that is that there's a stone or a catalyst that we toss into the pond that causes a ripple of energy and creates a tidal wave of required change to make some sort of change in our community or in our world. And today I want to talk to you about the food revolution, and I want you to keep in mind that I am a pretty average person. I don't have any.
I love how you define the revolution, right? So, and I think that's the thread that you've presented in this whole entire talk about you, which is it's all about just jumping into the pond almost, right? And the ripple effect will happen. So your full self, bringing your full self to the space, and then the ripple effect happens. And then can I just say, the next time that you got accepted to give a TED Talk, you know, we're still talking about you having abundance. And on the day, and I'm proud to say that on the day that you were giving this second talk, I was the curator of this event, and you showed up for your filming, and you were vibrating, like glowing, like if there was a temperature, you were like heating up the entire space. You were all the heat in Corpus Christi, let's just put it that way. And it was just amazing. I think this talk, when you gave this talk, you lit the entire space on fire. So let's just watch a little bit of it, okay, Aislynn?
It's the summer before my freshman year in high school. I'm 14 years old, and I am hot to get to the party. But first, my parents had asked me to go on a lawn mowing chore. Now, that's not unusual because I lived in a rural area, and we tended to help each other out. But the outcome of that day was a terrible riding lawnmower accident. I spent my entire summer and most of my freshman year in high school in and out of the hospital, trying first to save my life and then to save my leg. And as you can imagine, a 14-year-old dealing with the healthcare system like that, well, it creates an interesting full body awareness like no others. Now, go with me to a scene of the Hunchback of Notre Dame. Esmeralda is in big trouble. She's tied to an altar, and the villagers and the powers that be are about to set her on fire. Quasimodo knows that if he can get her inside Notre Dame, then she will be safe. So he swings down on a rope, he snatches her up from the altar and swings them both into Notre Dame, and with one word he saves them. He yells, "Sanctuary." Sanctuary. It's a word we all kind of know. But after that day on the lawnmower 28 years ago, I've come to understand that everyone needs a sanctuary as a vital part of the whole healthy human experience.
So if you've just tuned in, this is a show all about being a hero of your story. And we have with us today our PowerUp hero of gardening. And so you just heard a little bit of a TED Talk, and that was just a teaser. So if you like what you heard, you need to go on TED.com and search for Aislynn Campbell. Aislynn Campbell gave a talk where she talked about your garden being your sanctuary. And of course, there's another talk that you'll find about the food revolution. Aislynn, this has just been a huge opportunity for us here in the community to have a person like you with 2 TED Talks, starting farmers markets, running for mayor. You do garden lifestyle coaching from your backyard. You have chickens. I mean, there's just an amazing, abundant life that you live. So can I just say that, I mean, we all wish to be like Aislynn when we grow up, right? We all want to have this light and this abundance, right? And we may not be able to do it the way you do it, but just a little bit of a little taste of Aislynn never hurt anybody.
Yeah, you definitely can do it yourself. You don't have to do it the way I do it, but you can definitely do it. Everyone can. Everyone has the power. Everyone has the self-worth. Everyone is connected.
Thank you. And so I want to just jump right into, Megan, our Fast 5 Finger Favorites. And so we're going to ask you just some quick questions if you can answer for us. And the first question we're going to ask you, and before we do that, we want to ask our audience to chime in. So if you're watching right now and you have favorites, make sure you let us know. So Aislynn Campbell, our Power Up Hero of Gardening, what is your favorite book?
Probably The Alchemist.
The Alchemist. Oh my gosh, I love that book.
Yeah, I have a lot though. I have a lot of books that I love, and there's lots of good books, farming books. So regenerative agriculture, if you're into farming, check that one out. But definitely The Alchemist is one.
That's a classic. I like that one too.
Yeah.
Okay, what is your favorite movie?
Okay, this is, I hate these lists. I'm not good at this, but one of my all-time favorite movies is Reservoir Dogs, which I know doesn't seem like it fits me very well, but I'm a huge Quentin Tarantino fan. I also love Girls Just Want to Have Fun and Dirty Dancing. So.
Okay, love it. I don't know if I've watched Reservoir Dogs. I'm gonna go watch that.
It's one of the originals. It's like old school. If you're old school Quentin Tarantino, that's your movie right there.
All right. All I hear is Kill Bill. Is that the Kill Bill guy?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Okay, so this is the third one. Aislynn Campbell, Fast 5 Finger Favorites. What is your favorite song or something to listen to?
I don't have a favorite song, but I love Tribe Called Quest. I'm an old school triber. And I also am a huge fan of The Alchemist. I mean, sorry, I said that already. I'm a huge fan of the Avett Brothers, which is like folk music of today. They're very inspiring. They remind me of me because I think that they've had a lot of pain and drama and trauma that they have overcome through spirit and love and light and living in their creative arts. Yeah.
Awesome. Love that.
Yeah.
And then for the next one, what is your favorite quote or phrase or something that you like to say or hear?
Okay, I had to think about this. I have a lot, but the best thing I can come up with that matches me and that I use the most often is from Alice in Wonderland. And it's, I do 6 impossible things before breakfast, which really is freaking me because I'm up with the chickens and I've done 6 impossible things before you've even gotten up out of bed.
Oh, I love that. And that's actually swiftly into the next Fast 5 Finger Favorites, which we like to call the Wake Up to Power Up portion of our show. How do you wake up to power up? If you had a perfect day, how would you wake up in the morning? How would you meet the day?
I began many years ago realizing the first thing I needed to do when I woke up in the morning was to be thankful for every little thing around me. And so like I like start to wiggle in my bed and feel my sheets and feel how good it feels to be in my bed and start to think about the coffee that's coming. And then I go and I make myself a cup of coffee and I drink a glass of water with lime juice in it every single morning right up the bat. That's the first thing I do. I make my coffee. I've done some gratitude. I go outside in my backyard. I let my chickens out. I sit on my back porch, usually drink my water and my cup of coffee, do some meditations. I do lots of big, deep breathing stuff. I do a lot of breath work and grounding. I like to, if I can, if it's not 28 degrees outside, which usually only happens never, but that one time, I stand outside with my bare feet. So yeah, I love the wake up thing is a really important one because I think it's really hard to move on with your day in life when you are having a hard time getting out of bed. And if you're having a hard time getting out of bed every single day, then it's time to take a look at your life and see what things you can begin to shift. But you can always start with remembering that there is actually one of my favorite Avett Brothers songs is there's always hope in a morning song, but you have to find that melody alone.
Ooh, I like that. So I'm definitely finding Avett Brothers on Spotify. There's always hope. Oh my gosh.
There's hope in every morning song, but you have to find that melody alone.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love that.
Ooh,
Sorry.
Aislynn, this is not part of the five finger favorites, but I want to know what your favorite food is. What's your favorite food?
Yes.
Probably crawfish, actually. I know that sounds great. Girl, I love crawfish season, but also black-eyed peas. Black-eyed peas. I think I'm a Southern girl, like for real, you know? And then also Indian food. I love Indian food. My favorite food is just food I love to eat. I live a whole entire life where all I do is talk about and work on eating delicious food all day long. I mean, I am the healthiest, fattiest eater you've ever met.
You know what's funny is, okay, it's not funny, but it's funny to me, I guess. Anyway, this is how I know that I'm not a joke teller. Somebody once said, they were like, oh yeah, what's your favorite food? And they just said yes, right? So they like all the foods. Right? And that kind of reminds me of that, right? So I think sometimes, no matter what it is, yes, you eat healthy, but you also appreciate the fact that a full spectrum of taste in your taste buds is good. And it's always like there's this concept of the 80-20 rule, right? With eating healthy and also celebrating the fullness of the life that we have.
Yeah. Experience, enjoying it, and like everything. Life to me is about the moment that you're in. So if you're eating the food, it's to taste the food. If you're drinking, I mean, like, okay, think about this. And I'm very, very particular about this in the morning situation. When I drink my water, I appreciate how good for me it is and how it's flowing through every cell in my body and how it's bringing life into me. Water has become, without a doubt, the most important thing to me. And every political conversation I'm paying attention to today, it's all about water. It's all about water because everything is telling me that we need to pay attention to water and we need to drink more water and we need to appreciate water and we need to take good care of our water and we need to stay by the water as often as we can. That's why I live on the coast. That's probably why y'all live on the coast too.
I feel like when we go to the beach or whatever, that's my self-care, just being there. Yeah, I feel like the water just like, it's like it pulls everything away.
Definitely.
All the impurities just are left there. So that's awesome. Okay, so PowerUp Hero is also about using your time wisely. So we like to ask our heroes how they capitalize on their time. So do you have any tips or hacks on how you spend your time wisely?
I do what I want. I know that sounds a little crazy and far-fetched, but I do what I want. And when I do what I want, I get things done really fast. And I've learned not to work harder because working harder doesn't necessarily mean that I'm coming up with a good solution to things. I've learned to listen to my higher power telling me when this may seem far-fetched, but I'm going to call it what it is. It's a portal. And if your higher power tells you go that way, even if it's go that way and sit on the couch, because all of a sudden you got the idea to a project you've been working on for 5 weeks and you were working and working and working and working. And all of a sudden, boom, you got the answer right there, right then. So do what you want, do the thing that make you feel good, spend more time in quiet listening and be ready for when the portal opens. Because the answer will be there. The time will shift. You won't even, you know what I'm talking about. You've been in one of those situations where you're like, oh my God, I've been working at this for 8 hours. And then you look down at it's only been like 5 minutes. And you're like, how did I get that much work done in 5 minutes? How did I do that? You were in the right place at the right time. You tapped right into all that is good and you just skyrocketed. And so it's interesting that you would ask me the question about efficiency because one of the things I've learned at this point in this space and time, like aha moments is that space and time is relative. So I create more time. That's what I do. By doing what I want.
By doing what you want. And I think, so there's a book and I was looking up the name of the author. Her name is Dr. Langer. And I just recently read it and it's called Mindfulness. And it's actually in its 25th anniversary. Anybody who's ever written anything about mindfulness started with her. So she did the research before people were even thinking about it. Anyway, long story short, she talks about that. And she talks about how when you pay attention to even the way you're drinking your water, when you pay attention to everything you're doing, it just seems like you end up in a flow of living your best life, which means working your best life, which means whatever it is you're doing, just put the adjective there, and it's the best version of yourself while you're doing it, because that's what you wanted to do, right? Right. And can I add something here? So I work for the most amazing company. So the company I work for is Open Sesame, and I feel like the flexibility to work at your own flow creates this acceleration. I feel like I'm on fire when I'm working there. And I hope that they feel like I'm on fire when I'm working there, because I just feel like everything just seems to flow because I have the space to do the way I want to work, the way I want to be in my space. Does that make sense?
Yep, absolutely. That's that freedom thing we're bringing it all back around. It's all about freedom. Yeah. Freedom gives you the ability to tap into the things that make life, that bring the answers to you. I mean, I can't tell you, you all know this. I can't tell you the number of times I've been deep in the middle of a project that I've been working on for weeks. And all of a sudden the answer to it just comes to me. And a lot of times people are like, oh, well, I've been working on it for weeks, so that's why I focus, blah, blah, blah. No, you just stepped into the right thought in the right moment, and you finally hit it. And if you'd have done more self-care, stepping into the right thoughts in the right moments, the quiet times when you connect in, ground in, take the time to have the space and be in the moment, you would have accessed that 5 weeks earlier and not spent 5 weeks working on the project. And I find it very fascinating right now because we just sat at home for 2 years, basically, or 18 months. You are about to see our world explode with exponential. I mean, if you thought we were moving fast through the cell phone era, the new cell phone era, oh no, it's about to get way faster. We're about to see so much innovation because we all had time to sit still and be quiet for a minute and like, doom, 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 doom. Like
that, right? So we primed all the brains of innovation to create, right, and to innovate. I love that. And so as we're coming closer to the end of the show, one of the main questions we always like to ask is a forward-thinking question. So we talked a little bit about your past. We know what you do now. Imagine yourself 5 to 10 years from now. What do you see?
My wants and desires are that I want me and my name to travel the world, talking to people about health and wellness and the way I do it from the garden. So that's what I see myself doing. And I don't know how. I don't know what that looks like, and that's not my job. My job is to do the things today with each moment as I move forward with each moment with the that I've already put out there to the universe what I want. The universe knows. I've been asking for it all my life. It's been coming and coming and coming more and more and more. And that comes with all the freedom that comes with that. That it comes with health, wealth, support, community, people to follow, people to lead. It comes with everything. It's just this mind-blowing opportunity to grow abundance while I inspire quality of life in not only myself, but the world, sharing my magic about health and wellness and doing that all from the garden for the rest of my life, sustainably, basically.
I love it. And you're already on your way. And we know Oprah's watching right now, so she's coming to get you. So, hi, Oprah. You can just call me. If you want to contact
in the podcast we do the podcast.
We're asking Oprah to call you.
Call me. Yeah, right now. Down there.
Put you on her plane and like get you wherever you need to go so more people can find out about you.
Absolutely.
And so that's pretty much what we're talking about right now, which is how can people get in touch with you. But I want to throw up your website again. So this is your beautiful website, which I love. If you have not gone to Aislynn's website, you just need to go because first of all, her Instagram feed is just on fire. I mean, you'll just be happy, when you're flowing through your feed, just add Aislynn to your feed. It's going to be positivity, positivity, positivity. And then the other thing I wanted to bring up, Aislynn, was you do have an opportunity for people to get in touch with you in regards to your services on your website. So, and I think it's mostly about your garden lifestyle coaching work that you do, right? I mean, I know you have your podcast with your partner, Joe. Yeah. And so maybe just tell us a little bit about what we're looking for when we come into your website and we want to engage with you financially.
Yeah, so I do several different types of consultations. Another consultation I do is helping small restaurant businesses know how to really engage the local farmers and create menus and how to do it step by step. So I do a consultation about that, as well as the edible landscape consultation, different types of opportunities for coaching, absolutely public speaking events, workshops. I've done a ridiculous amounts of those for conferences and all kinds of things like that. I also do for the locals sell produce from my farm, from my garden here. I have an online, I call it an online farm stand. We do farm to table events out at our farm. My fiance and I are actually going to be moving out to the farm in Taft. So I'll be moving out there very soon. I do a YouTube channel with lots of videos up. I do lifestyle videos, I do gardening videos, and I'm about to start coming at you with some other things as well. I also have another thing that's pretty fun. That's new, a brand new launch called Aislynn's Larder. And it's basically like the pantry for some chefs, and it's an investment project, which basically means they pay ahead of time, knowing that they're going to get the first dibs on my overflow of abundance. And then there's some opportunity there with some of the business restaurateur consultations where I can help support them really get some farm to table initiatives happening in their business. And I already had one initial investor, and I am so freaking excited. You know, so it's good. That's but awesome. We're lots going on. Farm is growing. We're making wine. I mean, you guys, please just find me. Oh, go check out my YouTube channel and follow me on Instagram, because I'm telling you, you're going to be, there's so much good stuff coming from me from all over the world. I'm coming at you.
And all of this, if you notice on the very top of her website is all her social media links. So on the top right-hand corner right there, you can see YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Please connect with Aislynn Campbell. We love our Aislynn, and we're just so lucky. So, you know, it's not every day that we're celebrating heroes in our own backyard, right? Sometimes we're with people like where are we? Like in London, right? We were in London the other day, Megan. Yeah. So we have people from all over the world. And so we're just lucky to have you in our backyard, Aislynn, literally in our backyard. So thank you so much for being on the show today. We really appreciate your time.
I love you ladies so much. You made this so much fun for me to be able to come in and help support you in lighting up the world, because this is huge. And I know the whole world, man and woman, are making some massive changes, but I'm telling you right now, we are coming. Us women, we are coming at this world. We are rising up. And when I rise, you rise, we all rise.
Ooh, sounds like a Maya Angelou quote. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. Yeah. Thank you so much, Aislynn. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Oh my gosh, Megan, I love Aislynn so much.
I know, she's sharing her magic with the world.
I know.
Like her website does.
It's funny because I looked at the time and I was like, oh my gosh, we've been talking for a long time. You could listen to her talk forever, which is probably why her YouTube channel is so popular, because I think she just turns on the camera and goes into her backyard and just talks while she's gardening. So it's really kind of cool. So one of the things she did mention to me was that one of her friends' kids, instead of watching YouTube Kids, they just put Aislynn on the TV because, you know, she has her red hair and she's all fun and she's in there with her chickens and stuff. So it's kind of fun for kids to watch. So I thought I could do that. I could probably put Aislynn on our TV and see whether there's a connection. And then I was actually even thinking like, okay, so now we tagged her as the PowerUp Hero of Gardening. So when she starts her kids show, she'd be like, hi, I'm Aislynn Campbell, your PowerUp Hero of Gardening, with her red hair, right? It's like her kid.
Yeah.
And then and my superpower is inspiration, and I'm here to inspire you. And then she can talk about what her message is, right? For the kids. Oh,
I know. That would be so neat. I really love Aislynn so much because she really, she talks about being on fire because she really is
on fire. I know. And you know, can I say something? I have so many notes here. The point here was, if you do your own personal work as a hero, right? I mean, I'm even going to go back right to the beginning of our show where we say that, we hope you were educated and inspired for yourself before you think about your family and friends and all these, it's that whole love 2.0 thing, right? Yeah. Love 0.0 is you. Are you good? Before you're giving that love away 1.0, 2.0, 3.0 to the universe, are you good, right?
Yep. I really like that about her too. And I think one of the things that resonated with me is about how she trusts her intuition so much. I think we all have that. Definitely. That's definitely a superpower that we're just kind of innately born with, is intuition.
Yes.
But the difference between her and a lot of other people, like myself, is that she completely trusts hers. And sometimes there's some of us who question, like, should I? Shouldn't I?
Yeah.
My intuition's telling me, but is it really me? Is it really, what is it? Do I, don't I? And so we get stuck in this funk of like, should I listen to myself? Should I not listen to myself? And so I really admire that about her so much, that she has just learned to just listen and trust and go.
Mm-hmm. And that's courage, right? Courage to be a hero. Courage to be the best version of yourself. Courage to step into your best version of yourself. I love it. And I like how she said, ooh, I've had 8 billion aha moments.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, I love that. I love that so much. Self-care is the most heroic thing you can do. Fill your cup and feed others with the overflow. Oh, I love it. I love doing amazing things. Ooh, Kanye West. I don't know whether I just haven't been paying attention, but I need to go listen to some Kanye West then.
I haven't listened in a while, so I'm going to have to check out that song that she mentioned.
Yeah, so there was lots and lots of stuff. In fact, when she was talking about the water thing, I got thirsty. So I think I really like how she talked about really feeling the water. And actually, so in this book, the mindfulness book, the lady talks about how the way you consume the product, whatever it is, whether it's a coffee or tea or water, actually changes the chemistry of it because you're being mindful of it. There's something about the chemical reaction of the water, and it goes into your cells easier. Like whatever the goodness is that's needed goes easier because you're paying attention. If you're not, it just goes through you because you're just kind of like, it's like eating healthy, but you're rushing, right?
Yeah.
It's not going to help you as much as if you just really took it in, stopped and enjoyed the food. So there's a lot of awesomeness in that book, Megan. Mindfulness. Dr. Langer. She's really awesome. She works with the team at Harvard, so she's a Harvard professor, and she has a team that does all the research on mindfulness. Yeah, I love it. And her hack was mindfulness. I love that. Oh, Megan, I could talk to you for hours about being a hero. So thank you for being here on the show.
Thanks for having me. I'll see you at Cole Park.
Yep, see you at Cole Park for Juneteenth for the crest. Bye.
Bye.
And there you have it. Our Power Up Hero show is over. We had Aislynn Campbell, did not want her to leave. And so for those of you who are wondering how to get in touch with Aislynn, I'm going to drop her link again because I think it's super important for everybody watching to go to AislynnCampbell.com. Go to AislynnCampbell.com and find out more about the hero that we just interviewed. Now, do you know a hero in our community, a role model, somebody who is doing above and beyond and really truly leading a path on how agents of change should be? Let us know. Visit our website, poweruphero.org, and nominate them to be on the show. And if it's you, yes, you, be bold, be courageous. We know you're remarkable, and we want the world to hear all about you and your heroic story. So go to our website, poweruphero.org. poweruphero.org. And also wherever you are watching, please subscribe to the show because we don't want you to miss the next episode. We hope that you are educated, we hope you are inspired, and we hope you are encouraged to be a hero in your life, not only for the community that you serve, but also for the teams that you are blessed to serve with, for your family, for your friends, for your career, but most importantly, for you, for yourself, because our world needs heroes today more than ever before. And I hope you make today a powered up day. Bye.